JHON WOO es uno de los directores de cine de acción más influyentes en la historia del cine, creador de estilos cinematográficos que además inspiró a muchos con sus técnicas y narrativas. Sus orígenes se remontan a Hong Kong, con películas como The Killer de 1989 y Hard Boiled de 1992. Específicamente, esta película tiene una escena de tiroteos que dura más de 30 minutos ininterrumpidos. En Hollywood dirigió a John Travolta y Christian Slater en la cinta Código Flecha Rota de 1996 y en el 97 dirigió la exitosa y multipremiada Contracara con Nicolas Cage y nuevamente John Travolta. Ya en el 2000 dirigió la secuela de Misión Imposible, una de las mejores de toda la saga. Ahora tenemos el honor de verlo nuevamente tras las cámaras después de casi 20 años fuera de Hollywood, con Venganza Silenciosa, una película que retoma el arte y los movimientos de cámara que tanto disfrutamos. Una película con el sello indiscutido del gran maestro de acción JHON WOO, al que de forma exclusiva y única en Chile pudimos entrevistar. Hi, Mr. Woo.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you very much for this interview, Mr. Woo. My name is Hugo Mazuela. You are considered one of the best action film director of all time. How is your creativity reflected in Silent Night?
You know, for long time ago, I have been established as a big movie director. You know, and there are a lot of good scripts, much smaller production, and put a very good script. They are never sent it to me. So and then after 10, 15 years, when I come back, and then I find Silent Night, it really excites me. You know, it's the great thing is the whole script. There are no dialogue. I think it's really a challenge, you know, and then I feel it allowed me to using my own technique and using the visual and sound to tell the story, you know, and then and also had made the audience more focused on the actors' great performance. I think it's a good thing to try.
I've been working with the production company Thunder Road and with Basil Iwanek and Erica Lee. We've done a couple of films before and really enjoyed working with each other. So we had a call, just kind of brainstorming ideas, and then Basil brought up that he had this project with JHON WOO returning to Hollywood after 20 years, and he wanted me to join in doing this film. And the kicker was that the film had no dialogue, and I was like, you had me at JHON WOO, but now I'm 100% in, and like I don't even need to read the script, like I am in. And then I read the script and it was fantastic. So yeah, it was pretty epic. I mean, working with JHON WOO was, you know, one of my dreams coming true. Is a true legend of film, and you know, a cinematic genius. And also, particularly working with him on a film like this, where I pretty quickly understood his vision and why he wanted to do this film. Because there's no dialogue in this film, you know, John doesn't need to come in and cover, you know, the person who's talking and then, you know, cut to the people that are listening. So he could, you know, use cinema in a completely different way, where he could just cover each scene with one beautiful shot. He just designed one shot that just tells the whole story of the scene and makes it really cinematic. So this film is sort of was living on two different planes. You know, on the one hand, in the setup and then the emotional story of the family going through this loss, it's very cinematic. And then it goes into, you know, the hardcore, high-octane action. So it lives in those two planes. Yeah, I was a huge fan of John Woo. I actually think I discovered him through watching Face Off, and then I starting to backtrack. So, you know, I've been a fan of John's for over 20 years, and yeah, so it was a great honor, and one of my favorite experiences of my career for sure. Well, I mean, a lot of challenges when you're playing a character that doesn't have any dialogue. You know, first of all, just explaining who the character is and telling the story. You know, the dialogue is very helpful doing that. So when you remove that element, all the other elements become much more important. And emotionally, it was a lot more difficult because the text usually helps your emotions come alive during a scene. And when you remove that, you know, I had to rely completely on creating that emotional turmoil in me before every take. So that was very demanding. I ended up sort of emotionally prepping for every take on this film in the same way that I usually would do for maybe the most emotional scene of another film. So in that way, it was very demanding. But then also, I found, you know, being trained classically and having worked in theater was really helpful in this, because on stage you're much more used to expressing your emotions and expressing the character with your whole body, and that became very important in this film as well. Yeah, I really like the action part of storytelling. I think it's really fascinating to tell the story of those moments of, like, in a fight to the death, or if anyone has ever been in a fight or in a car crash, they know that the perception of time gets really warped, and a couple of seconds can feel like an eternity. And if you've ever been in a fight, then you know that's the same kind of feeling, and especially with another person, and there's so much communication and story going on, you know, in just a few seconds. So to be able to try to tell that story on film is really difficult, but it's also exciting to try to do that. A big part of, you know, the way that John wanted to shoot this film, he wanted to linger on, you know, wider shots and not rely on cutting very much. And if you don't cut very much, then you can't switch in and out between the stunt guy and the actor. And so since I enjoy doing that part, I tried to do, you know, most of the stunts, and also I brought in a lot of the stunt guys that I've worked with before to this film, and early on we're designing the fights. First we designed them in a way so I could do, you know, all of the stunts and I could do all of the fights. My ambition was always to, you know, do the most of the fights myself, and so what we did was we really wanted to make it gritty and messy, because the character's also, he's not well trained in any martial arts or, you know, fighting techniques. He's not some Navy SEAL. He's just a regular guy that's obsessed with this idea of revenge and training in his garage. So the way to still make it really exciting and dynamic was to make it visceral and messy, because that's how real fights are. You know, I really hope people love this movie, and if this becomes a Christmas classic, yeah, that would be something.
How do you feel about returning to directing a film in Hollywood after almost 20 years?
You know, I know there are a lot of changes in these 20 years. The big special effect movie, or or the Marvel movie got popular, you know. But I didn't care. I just and I haven't watched any of them. You know, I just like to keep it being myself. You know, I just want to create my own style, and I just wanted to make my own movies. And I found Silent Night is exactly my kind of movies. Besides the action, you know, I always love the drama, especially the human drama. So I think, and by the meantime, I think the audience nowadays, they also like to, you know, going back to watch this kind of movie as well.
Silent Night is pure action. What was the most complex part of the filming?
You mean for Silent Night? You know, Silent Night, I tried to create a new kind of style. The story was about you know, little kid, a innocent kid being killed by the gangster. So it's a pretty tragic, you know, story. So I make the movie look more like realistic. You know, make the audience feel, you know, that this kind of thing, it could happen to any family, any person. So like some of the fight scene, you know, I want them to have to do the real fights, you know, the real punches, you know, and then I'm using one long take to shooting, to following the action, to shoot the action. You know, unlike what I used to do, have a lot of cover shot, or you know, a lot of gunfire, birds flying, you know, over the top, you know. So I think that is more powerful. And if you make everything look real, it'll kind of more impact.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woo, for this interview.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
Shots fired. All units, please respond.